All right, we're back out here. Spent last night getting the TIG machine and the water cooler set up. So I'm getting ready to fire that thing up for the first time. Also, went ahead and cleaned up with some Scotch-Brite and some acetone on these weld areas. See if it works and get a couple welds on here. And then we'll probably rip it off and finish it off the truck. So burned in a couple welds the other night. Now I'm going to cut off these tacks here, cut off the tack on the shock hoop, and we're gonna break this front end off. I cleaned up the bench, so we're gonna set it up here, weld it slowly so it doesn't warp, but that way we can get all the sides comfy, and then weld it up, and then probably weld up these plates, grind these down, then we'll set it all back together, weld it up, and it will be done. Front frame off. I'm thinking about maybe we'll hang her on the scale, see what she weighs. I did the math on the tubing, figured it was probably about 19 pounds and probably, you know, a pound or so for these, and I weighed it, and sure enough it was about 21 pounds, so that's not bad. I know the stock frame definitely weighed more than that, so 21 pounds is all I'm replacing the front of the frame with, plus the shock hoops. But now it's time to get the TIG fired up and start welding some of these in. Some of these don't look too good, so I'm trying to clean them up, and hopefully I can have this thing looking cool and then get it back on the truck. Easy when it's flat on the bench, you're right. After about a solid 5 hours in the shop here, got some good progress. So we got the front end set back on with a couple tacks and pretty much got it right back into place where it was. Also welded up my rack mount, so that's all welded now. We got the rack back on. We cut off the inner tie rods, so now we can take our clevises here and get these set up and get these tacked on. Then we'll bust this loose, and then we can tack it up on the bench. Make sure we get a really good weld on there. But overall, got all my welds here. Some of them are decent, some of them are less than decent, but overall, it's gonna work. So next step is mount it. I'm gonna get the axle brought back up into place, get my shock mounts tabs on. I'm probably gonna tack those, break the shock mounts off, weld the shock tabs on the bench, and then set those back on. So I need to order 2 more tabs, and then once I get those, I'll catch back up and we'll be welding those on. I got the tabs tacked on the shock hoop, went ahead and broke it off the frame, cleaned this up. Now I'm about to fire up the TIG and burn these in nice and easily. It's gonna be so much easier on the bench here. Then I'll get it welded up, set it back on the frame, probably tack it with the MIG again, and might even burn some of these on. We'll see. second shock tube, so this thing's still warm. Letting that cool off. And I went ahead and got this one set on. And did some MIG welds back there, kind of ugly, and then got one TIG pass here on the front. This one. And now I'm letting all that stuff cool. I got the chop saw out, and I'm thinking I'm going to start cutting my tubing and building my control arms, just like I did on the brown truck. So I'm gonna measure these out and cut a couple chunks out. Alright, so we need to drill out the knuckles here to 3/4 so I can put a bolt through it straight to the hide. So I just got this 3/4 step bit, and we're just gonna buzz right through it. Give her a little lube her up. Alright, it goes through. It's actually a nice snug fit, so once I get a bolt with a shank on it, then I'll make sure it goes all the way in nice and tight. But for now, we're good. I got both my tubes here cut and ground down, a little bevel, cleaned them up. These are for the tie rods. And I got this one here. I also cleaned these so they're ready to rock. Now I'm gonna get these tube adapters set up in there like that. And we're gonna get to welding. Got a couple welds on my tie rods there. So now I got my control arm tubing all cleaned up. Same deal. Got all my tube adapters cleaned up. So I'm gonna get tacking these and it'll be the same process. And next time you see it, they'll probably all be welded up and done. Alright, so I've been out here kind of just wasn't filming anything because I was doing a lot of trial fit and error and stuff. But I got the steering to where it is pretty much functional here off the column. We're just gonna run the stock column for now. I'm running out of time for the deadline I have for myself right now, so we're just gonna use the stock column. Keep that in there. But I got it, you know, this here, we're at max down driver right now, so I got enough slip, and it should have enough slip when it's compressed. So now we're gonna get this heim in here, and we're gonna build a little support off here to locate the column here so it isn't wobbly. So that's what we're about to do right now. Nice. In here, got all the bolts in here, and got this just kind of welded, and as you can see it spins, no bind, and this is all the way at full droop. So now I'm going to jack the axle up to full bump and make sure everything still functions, no binding, and then if so, we're good to go. We'll move on to the next thing. Put it at full bump, and actually got plenty more clearance than I gave myself more room than I even needed. But overall, it's gonna work. This is only temporary until I get my new column in. So whether I keep all this stuff the same or I end up changing some stuff, I'm not sure. But at least I know that it works like this. So steering works. It's all done, just gotta bolt it up. So I would say steering is done besides hooking up the power steering lines. Next up, I'm probably gonna start working on getting my control arms in and getting my diagonal link put in. And that's what I need to actually, those are the most important things that I need to go down the track. And then I can start messing with all the other little stuff like intercooler brackets and stuff like that. to feel them pump right now because the steering is done. I got tie rods in, tightened up, racks in. I need to double check how tight that is. Steering column is in, all the bolts are in, set screws are tight, heim joints in, and it turns good. So that is one thing off the list I gotta worry about. Still gotta hook up the power steering lines. I'm a little worried about one of the lines on the rack leaking. It was bent when it came in the box, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm just gonna keep moving forward, probably. All right, so since we got the intercooler in here, I went ahead and started making some mounts. So I got some flat stock here, drilled a hole in it, cut it round, got some 1.25 inch, coped it so it's ready to go. These are ready to weld. And it looks like I had the intercooler in here mounted crooked because I set the pipes up how it was and I got it square and our pipe's not quite lined up, so we're gonna have to shorten this up a little bit. My temporary pipe is still on here for now. Gonna remodify it, it'll work. But I'm gonna get some tacks on here and start welding. So went ahead and pulled the stock control arm out and got my new lower tube arm in, and I also have my bracket for my diagonal link here. So what I did is actually took a nut, welded it in here, so this thing is you put that in there and then you can just hold this unit and tighten it up and it should be good. So now I'm going to pull this one off, and then I'm gonna mock up my diagonal link that goes across. I'm probably gonna put a bend in it to clear the oil pan, but I'm gonna get this arm out and start checking it out. Now that is a quality bushing. That's what you want to go 143 miles an hour on right there for sure. So I put about a 15-degree bend in this bar here, and you can see we're at full bump now. Actually I got a little bit more, but not enough for it to move. And we're clearing the oil pan. And I gotta cut the leg, so we got the diagonal link in. So that's gonna be it for tonight, but tomorrow night I'll come back out here, we'll get that welded up. I'll get some hardware for it tomorrow, so I can get that tightened up. We'll get all the control arms in tomorrow. So those will be done, and we are so close. So, see you guys tomorrow night. All right, there's the old diagonal link. Got some decent looking welds on her. Let it cool off, get the heims in, and put her in. So I got both control arms on this side, got the diagonal link in here, and I'm working on this side now. And one thing I didn't do on the brown truck that I'm doing now, and I should have done it, is I just ran the stock bolts on the brown truck, which are 12 millimeter, and the heims are 1/2 inch. So after putting about a couple thousand miles on it, I got a little bit of play. So I'm drilling these holes out just a little bit more to 1/2 inch, so I can put a grade 8 1/2 inch in it. There'll be no slop, and it should be super good. All right, next up on the list, doing some fab work, radiator mount. That's the next thing to get mounted. So I already got these 2 plates cut out, got these 1.25 inch tubes. I coped one side and got the other side angled. So that'll sit on there like that. And then get welded on the frame. That'll hold the bottom of the radiator. Then we got to build something probably to pop in these holes on the intercooler. And then go to this to kind of hold it from flopping around. So then that'll be done. That's only one more fab thing left to do, and that is to remodify this pipe. Just gotta shorten it a little bit, so that should be pretty simple. So we are getting so close. All right, it is Thursday night and we are leaving first thing in the morning. And I got this thing pretty much buttoned up. Got the coilovers in, got my wiring kind of tied out of the way and zip tied. I gotta cut some of those, maybe do some more taping. Got my radiator in, got the hoses on. Got my turbos in. I modified this mount, so we went to the shock mount. Hopefully, since everything's solid mounted, it'll be okay that way. Remodified, shortened this pipe, got that on, got my nitrous. Everything's just kind of zip tied, temporary, ghetto, but we just want to go make some passes. I'm not really worried. I'm not trying to win any awards. So I'm about to fire this thing up and cycle the steering to bleed some of the air out of it and hope that none of these lines leak. And if that's the case, I think it's time to put the tires on. We'll set it back on the ground. I'm gonna go over my to-do list. I think I need to pull the hood off. I think I need to throw a couple more screws in my bed because it's a long drive and the bed's starting to crack out back here, so I might do some tack welds on it. But I'm gonna fire it up and hopefully she fires up and then just keep on going. All right, there it is on the ground. Did a couple things back here. 4-link bar change, strengthened up my bed a little bit. Just go look at this front end, man, it's looking good. I'm gonna get this thing loaded up. We're going to the track tomorrow. Let's see if she goes. See you guys then.